Hello everyone. I'm North Hempstead Town Supervisor Judy Bosworth, and I, along with our town board, are proud to present At Home with North Hempstead, a series of special programs for children, seniors, as well as entertainment for residents of all ages. I hope you enjoyed this special presentation and check back often for new content. This week, we're gearing up for a very spooky celebration. Join us for these Halloween-themed videos, which will surely be a treat.
Welcome to the Cooking Lab. I am Chef Matt. Let's celebrate Halloween together and let's cook some spooky chocolate pumpkin muffin. We are going to need a lot of things today to make this happen, but it's a very simple recipe and it will be a lot of fun and will impress all your friends. So, in terms of equipment, of course, you will need a big bowl. This is where we are going to do our muffin mix. We will need a whisk, and then eventually you will change. We are using a wooden spoon and a spatula. The mold, so we are going to use, you can use a regular muffin pan, that works, but we are going to, because it's Halloween, we are going to use this pan, this skull mold, and this is going to be very impressive finish. We have some ingredients today. So to do the muffin, we will need so let's start with the sugar, about 2 cups sugar. You will need a small can, it's a 15-ounce pumpkin puree. You will need about 4 eggs and a cup and a half of canola oil. For the dry ingredients, you will need about 3 cups of flour. You will need some salt, a teaspoon of salt. You will use 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and you will need about 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Now, the spice, you need some pumpkin spice. We are going to make our own. It's about a tablespoon of spice in total. What is it? We are going to have 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. We will have half a teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, and 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. Altogether, it's almost a tablespoon, but that will give a nice flavor to your muffin. And of course, it won't be a chocolate muffin if we don't have chocolate. So you will have about 2 cups chocolates and a little extra that we will sprinkle on top of the muffin just before we put them in the oven. Now, to make them extra spooky, we are going to make a glaze. We are going to glaze them. So if you have, for the glaze, we will use about 1.25 cups of confectioner sugar that you will sift so it's very thin and fine and you don't end up with big lumps of sugar. You will use about 2 tablespoons of milk, half a teaspoon of vanilla. We will use 1 tablespoon of light corn syrup, and finally a tablespoon of melted butter. All right, so are we ready? Let's cook. So first we are going to break our eggs directly in the bowl, making sure we don't put any shelf, of course, because we don't want crunchy muffin. Now, very good. And now the goal is going to get rid of the viscosity of the white. So we are going to beat a little bit the egg, just a tiny bit, until they are a little frosty. Not frosty, but bubbly. Just get rid of this viscous white. And then we are going to add our sugar. And all you want is making sure you mix this white and the eggs very well together. You can use a hand mixer, but no matter what, you need to make sure you clean the side of your bowl, okay? It takes a little while for the sugar to dissolve properly in the liquid. So just make sure you whisk it for a solid minute or so. And always make sure you always clean the side of your bowl. When you're tired, all you have to do, you change hands. And again, make sure you clean the side of your bowl. Once you have your egg well incorporated in the sugar, we are going to add our pumpkin puree. Just mix it quickly so it looks smooth. Already, I love the color. This is a very, very autumn looking muffin. And then we incorporate the oil. And now we are going to simply whisk until we obtain a nice smooth mixture. And again, always making sure we clean the side of our bowl. You don't want to see any floating oil. You really want to mix this until it's very nice and smooth. Voila, like that. And now we are going to work on our dry ingredients. So for our dry ingredients, we have our flour. I'm going to add the salt. I'm going to add my baking powder, my baking soda, and those famous nutmeg, ground ginger, allspice, and cinnamon mixed together. Now I'm going to aerate a little bit, mix it and aerate this flour. If you want to sieve the flour, it's always recommended. I did mine. Try not to put everywhere like I just did. So that tells you, you know what? Go slowly, go slowly. And now let's add this to the to my mixture, but not everything at once. Let's do it in 4 or 5 times so you can incorporate the flour nicely and gently, okay? So you just make sure you start very gently, slowly. It's always preferable to incorporate little at a time. Now you see, I'm not using the whisk. Eventually, this is going to start thickening, and I don't want to end up with a thick batter within my whisk. Add a little bit more. Remember, don't forget, clean the side of your bowl. And gentle. Stay gentle. I can smell the pumpkin. I can smell the spice. This is going to be delicious. Start thickening nicely. Do a little bit more. As you add the flour, it starts becoming a little harder to mix, but don't start going too fast, otherwise your flour is still gonna do like me. It's gonna fly all over. Okay, one more time, and we're done. And here is our batter. To it, all I have to add are my chocolate chips. Just before I do that, I just want to make sure I don't have any flour visible on the side of my bowl. Okay, I just want to make sure everything is nicely incorporated. So make sure you clean up nicely. And you have a nice smooth batter. Perfect. And now I'm going to add my chocolate chip, okay, by 2 cups, and I'm going to keep some extras to mix, to add to the top of my muffins just before I put them in the oven. Oh, this is gonna be delicious. All right, so let's put them into our molds. So now we put it in the mold, now very gently. You don't want to overfill, but you still want them to be, you want to have the print all over the muffin, the skull print all over the muffin. If you are using regular tin muffin, do not forget to put a liner, otherwise they'll probably stick. And then we are going to put them in the oven at 400 degree. 400 degree. Right. Just try to work as clean as you can so you don't have too much of a mess. Et voilà. Just make sure you spread it nicely. Very good. So let's cook, and I'll see you. I will see you when these come out of the oven, and we are going to work on the glaze. So I just took them out of the oven. They stay about 17 minutes. Usually it takes about 16 to 18 minutes. Keep an eye on it. I always like to check before, but the way you check, you grab a little paring knife like this. You just poke, okay, one of them, and you see it's nice and clean. If you still have some butter on it, just leave it an extra minute or two. But when they are ready, that's it, they're ready. But they are still very hot, so we need to have them cool down a little bit. So you don't want to, we are going to do the glaze, but you don't want to put a hot muffin in the glaze, otherwise it's gonna run, it's not gonna look so good. But let's do the glaze now. All right, so to make this glaze, so first make sure you sift your confectioner sugar, okay? So you don't have any lumps of sugar in it. Then you make sure you melt your butter. So I'm adding my melted butter, and I'm going to add my half teaspoon of vanilla, and I'm going to also add a tablespoon of light corn syrup. Now, I'm going to, before I add my milk, I'm going to start making sure this sugar is melted, okay? So we are going to gently, progressively, just make sure you mix the melted butter, the vanilla, and the light corn syrup. So at first it's going to look pretty dry, but then as you start mixing it and mixing it, it's going to start looking pretty thick. So the goal right now is making sure our sugar is nicely mixed with the vanilla, the butter, and the corn syrup. You have to be a little patient. The confectioner sugar takes time to dissolve. Then you're gonna start getting a solid mass that turn a little brown because of the vanilla. And as you are there, just keep on stirring nicely. So once you're there, we're going to add about half of your milk, so about like 1 tablespoon of the milk. So about halfway. And same thing, I'm going to start making sure that all my mixture is all wet. You see what happens? Very quickly, the sugar starts dissolving, and now I have this thick paste, okay? But what is the consistency of the glaze? Well, I want something that's completely liquid, okay? And I don't want it to be too thick. This is way too thick. You see, it's going to a hole. It's just not nice. So I don't want this. I'm going to add all my milk, but right now my focus is on getting rid of all those confectioner sugar lump I was talking about. And the only way to get rid of it is just by mixing. Again, it takes time for the confectioner sugar to dissolve. And once you reach a more smooth consistency, then let's add the rest of our milk. We should have just the right consistency. Let's see. Oh, it's nice and smooth. Not many lumps. Just make sure with the back of the spoon you get rid of these extra lumps. Again, you need to give it a solid minute or two, okay, that the sugar is nice and dissolved. But we're almost there. We're almost there. Our glaze is nice and smooth. Our skulls, look at this, they look awesome. So so these need to be cooled before you put in the glaze, okay? So all you have to do is grab very gently, very delicately. You're going to just dip about halfway through, okay? And all you have to do is pick them up, okay? Nicely, let them turn around, okay? Take out the excess and simply let them dry. This is gonna take about a minute to dry, and you don't have to do them all. You can have one white, one plain, and you know what? The other thing we can do is add a little bit of color. Let's see. Let's make some white, some red. I'm going to use this. And that's really very spooky. An extra spooky skull. Let's take that one up. So again, just halfway through. Just make sure you coat them properly. And very delicately, you have them. This is gonna look very scary. Do them all. And if you have the regular muffin, all you have to do is poke it in, okay? And it's gonna be a very spooky Halloween. And there you are, my friend. And there we are with our Halloween spooky chocolate pumpkin muffin. This will be a great success. Not only they look good, but they taste magnificent. My friends, the Cooking Lab, we wish you a happy spooky Halloween and hope to cook with you very soon.